Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse 7-inch scale Nightwing action figure. Now this is a deluxe figure, meaning it comes with a collect and connect piece. These figures here are collect and connecting a Batmobile. And when I first saw this action figure listed, I got really excited and thought, oh wow, collect and connect Batmobile, that is great. How can I make it with just 3 figures? It's going to be so basic. And then upon further research, found out the actual Batmobile is going to be about the size of a figure, so it's definitely not in scale with them. McFarlane said that he was going to be trying to do numerous different Batmobiles, so I'm thinking Wave 2 is going to have 3 more Bat characters with a different Batmobile. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. You can see Nightwing inside. I think he looks great. You can see his batons. He's got a collector's card back there, a display stand in the back. DC Multiverse Nightwing. Classic blue costume. I like it. I can't wait to see how he moves and how he looks with Batman. Ages 12 plus. McFarlane Toys. You can see the Spawn logo. 22 moving parts. Collect and connect Batmobile. There's a piece inside of there. One side here, Nightwing from the Better Than Batman story. Other side here, somebody says Nightwing. At the bottom, there's a barcode in case somebody needs it, as well as a bunch of credits. On the back side here, you can see Nightwing from the comic, the piece of the Batmobile, and then the rest of the wave. Nightwing, Batman the Man Who Laughs, and Batgirl. And I did get 2 of these figures. One of them to open and enjoy, and one of them to keep unopened in my Batman unopened action figure collection. And I wanted to go over the packaging difference between a deluxe figure and a standard McFarlane release. Here's the regular Batman. If you line up the 2 sides, the package is pretty much the same size except the collect and connect piece on the side there. Their thickness is identical. And this figure was one among a big haul from Entertainment Earth that arrived today. I believe this is a full case of 6 figures of the Build-A-Figure wave. These are some of the figures I'm most excited for. The Man Who Laughs is probably one I'm most excited for in this entire line so far, as he's a brand new character. But then we have Batgirl in her current costume, and a really cool looking Nightwing as well. And then here's this figure taking his rightful place on my Batman shelf in front of my Batman and related comics with all my other recently acquired 6 and 7-inch Batman unopened figures. As you can see, we've got some other McFarlane figures above, some of the other McFarlane figures below. I only get the Bat and related characters to keep unopened in my complete Batman 6 and 7-inch unopened collection. And it looks like when I ordered these figures, Entertainment Earth sent me a case. I guess they come in increments of 6. Thought a couple people might be interested to see what that looks like. So you can see the top here, we've got the McFarlane Spawn logo. He even has McFarlane tape. And then here we've got a warning not to put this out before January 1st, 2020, the street date. Kind of makes me wonder why they had to wait so long to ship these. And then here in the front, some of the other details: McFarlane Toys, DC Collector, Wave 1, Ultra Action Figure. Mildly interesting. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does have 2 batons, which are his only traditional accessories. He's got a piece of the Collecting Batmobile, a display stand, and a collector's card. But before we look at the accessories, let's check out this actual figure. Here's Nightwing from the Rebirth, his modern look, also his classic blue and black look. I mean, he's had a lot of looks over the years, but this is my favorite of his. I think his face looks terrific. The hair, the sort of wave over the side, the mask, the mouth, the chimney, everything looks good on this guy. I have no problem with his head whatsoever. Looks like he's got a place to put his batons. Looks like double jointed elbows. Looks good so far. I like the suit, the muscles, double jointed knees, a little bit more blue on the bottom here. You can see even his feet have some good detail. You can see the sort of tread at the bottom of his shoes. I think this guy looks really nice. So now let's check out his accessories. And let's go ahead and start off with some of the boring stuff. This here is his display stand. It's a perfect black circle with the DC logo at the bottom. It's got one peg here for the peg holes in his feet, and it's very thin. Now, I'm not much of a stand guy, so I'm going to discard this into a huge bin of stands. Then we've also got his Collect and Connect Batmobile piece, but we'll check that out in a little more depth later. So next, let's check out his collector's card. This is the cover of Nightwing #1 from the Rebirth. And it just so happens I have this comic right here. This was from 2016, so I think it's really cool. We're going to be getting a split between some modern looks of the heroes and some older looks of the heroes, all kind of blended and mixed together. So next, let's check out his batons, or Eskimo sticks. These things here are pretty smooth at the top here, and then where he holds it, it's got a little bit of texture, some sculpted detail on the handle. And here are this Nightwing's batons next to all the different Nightwing batons in my collection. Getting quite a few at this point. Here he is holding his batons. And on his back, he does have an area to store his batons, which I really like. There's been a couple Nightwing figures in the past that have done this as well, mainly DC Universe Classics. So you can see there, I like that. One thing I thought was kind of interesting, take his baton, you can't just sort of push it in that way, it's almost too large. You sort of have to take it, roll it in from the side, and I imagine it's supposed to fit just below the notch here. Pretty nice. And with his nice elbow and shoulder articulation, he can sure put his arm back there and pull it out of his holster. Now let's look at the Collect and Connect piece of the Batmobile that came with Nightwing. This is going to be the center of the Batmobile. You can see it's got Batman's face or logo on the front. It's got a little bit of weathering. It's not just pure black. I like the yellow eyes. You can see sort of engine components here. Then we've got the canopy of the cockpit here. I mean, it looks pretty cool for what it is. By itself, this doesn't do too much. Of course, you're going to have two other pieces to connect to it. Now, when I first heard they were doing a Collect and Connect Batmobile, I was really excited, and then I found out it wasn't going to be in scale with the figures, and that definitely disappoints me. I mean, even if the thing is really cool looking and you can get a whole bunch on your shelf, it's really not something that I'm into, having an out-of-scale Batman car. I mean, I don't collect Hot Wheels or die-cast cars or any of that sort of stuff. I would personally much rather have something I can actually use with my 6 and 7-inch action figures. This kind of reminds me of when Mattel did the Collect and Connect Grapple from Batman vs Superman. That was one of my least favorite Collect and Connects because it just didn't do anything in my action figure world. I would personally much rather have a diorama or a figure. I saw Todd McFarlane mentioned maybe doing a Bat computer in the future. That's the sort of stuff I like. Mattel did a Dark Knight Rises Bat Signal at one point. And then if you're to take all three of the Collect and Connect Batmobile pieces, once again, these come with Nightwing, Batgirl, and Batman Who Laughs. Put them together, and this is what you get. A pretty nice looking, modern, traditional Batmobile from the comics. You see the bat head on the front, the yellow eyes, the wheels, of course, they do spin. This thing looks great, just definitely too small. Please, McFarlane, make a large version of this. That would be fantastic. And here's this completed Batmobile next to this entire wave of figures. Like I said before, not even close to scale with the figures. They might be able to use this thing for a skateboard or such. And although I'm not going to lie, the Batmobile itself looks great. It's a pretty cool display piece. Just not really something that I want or need. I would have rather the figures simply cost $19.99 like the other ones, or came with something different. But like I said, just my opinion. Here's this Collect and Connect Batmobile next to the DC McFarlane Batraptor. The Batraptor is a smaller vehicle of Batman, smaller than the Batmobile. So if you can just imagine how a scale-wise a true Batmobile would be, probably twice as big as this Raptor. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at his accessories, next let's check out the height of this figure. So this guy here, from bottom to top is sitting at just about 7.0 inches, which translates to about 18 centimeters. Next, let's check out this guy's articulation. So, starting off with his head here, of course, it can go from side to side. He can look down about that far and up about that far. Really not too much there. Shoulders go out way more than 90 degrees. It's pretty nice. They're on a ball joint in here, and you can see that extra bit of material between the shoulder and the chest. It's called a butterfly joint. So ball joint up, down, around, all that good stuff. Butterfly joint allows his entire shoulder to go forward and back like so, giving him just an absolute huge range of motion in that shoulder there. His elbow here, double jointed, go all the way in. And now his wrist here, there's a ball between the forearm and the hand. The ball itself can rotate at the base between the forearm and the ball. And then the hand can also rotate separately from the ball here. The hand is also hinged, so it can go back and forth. And if you wanted to rotate the hand around, you could hinge it differently. He's got a ball joint in his torso here. It's going to allow him to rotate around, forward and back just a little bit. He's got another ball joint down here, allowing him to go around again, and then go forward and back as well. So between both those joints, here he is straight. He can go look down that far and look up that far. His legs, it looks like they don't go out too far without a little extra pressure, but go out that far, not quite 90 degrees, quite a bit less. Not really a ball joint inside of here, but a similar type function. The leg can move independently of this, but doesn't give you a whole lot of extra articulation. Legs go forward about that far. Back about that far. Double jointed knees below that. And then his ankle here is done similarly to his wrist. We've got a ball between the shin and foot, allowing his foot to go up, down. There's also toe articulation here. And if you wanted to rock it, you'd have to rotate the ball, hold it in place, rotate his foot back, then you could rock it to the side as much as your heart desires. Next, let's check this guy out compared with some other action figures. Starting off by looking at him with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is with the rest of this wave. These are the 3 figures that you need to complete the Collect and Connect Batmobile. So far, here are the comic-themed Bat Family characters that McFarlane has made so far. I cannot wait to see how deep they go into the Bat Family. And here is the entire McFarlane DC Multiverse line as it is so far. A total of 13 releases, 12 figures, 1 vehicle. Super excited to see what Series 2 is going to be. Here are the McFarlane Nightwing and Batman in the center, next to the DC Collectibles DC Essentials Nightwing and Batman on the sides. These 2 lines are going to scale up pretty nicely together. And a closer look at the DC Collectibles DC Essentials Nightwing next to the McFarlane DC Multiverse Nightwing. Here he is next to the Mattel DC Universe Classics Nightwing on the left and the Mattel Multiverse Nightwing on the right. You can actually see Mattel was definitely getting taller as the years progressed. And then let's check him out next to all the different Nightwing figures in my collection. Here he is next to all the different DC Direct and DC Collectibles Nightwing figures they've released. And here he is next to all the different Mattel Nightwing figures that I have. And then here are all the different Nightwing 6 and 7 inch action figures that I have. And I will have to say, there are at least 2 from Mattel and 2 from DC Direct that I don't have. And then while we're on the subject of Nightwing, here's an old custom of Nightwing's short-lived partner, also calling himself Nightwing, Tad Ryerstad. And while we're on the subject of Nightwing and Dick Grayson, This is who I'm currently using as Dick Grayson in civilian attire. This was the unmasked Dick Grayson head that came with the multiverse Dick Grayson as Batman, and it's thrown onto a Wesley body from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I do realize that skin tones don't match. Definitely looking to correct that eventually. And here are a bunch of Dick Grayson as Robin action figures. Here's another figure that I'm pretty sure is Dick Grayson. This is a DC Direct Kingdom Come Red Robin. Although Tim Drake became Red Robin later in the comics, I'm pretty sure Dick Grayson was Red Robin in Kingdom Come. Mattel later released a Red Robin figure, but I'm going to assume that one was supposed to be Tim Drake. And here's a Dick Grayson as Batman Mattel Multiverse figure. This was from a period of time where Dick Grayson had taken over as Batman when Bruce Wayne was quote-unquote dead. Next, let's check him out compared with some other action figure lines from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Here he is with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch. And next to some DST or Diamond Select Toys. Now next to some NECA figures. And here he is with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And then next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. And here he is next to some Mattel, DC Universe Classics, and Multiverse figures. And here next to some Mafex figures. Now next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. Then next to some Jazzwares figures. So overall, I think this figure is great. This guy moves good. This guy looks good. This guy has a great suit, great articulation, nice texture. The only thing I want to complain about this guy is he should be just a hair shorter. Both him and Batman are pretty much both 7 inches. And according to the statistics on the collector's card, Nightwing is 5 foot 10 inches and Batman is 6 foot 2 inches. So there should be a little bit of a height difference. I'm not sure if McFarlane is just making all the figures 7.0 inches or what exactly their goal is. Either way, this Nightwing is great. If I were to rate this figure, I'd give him a 7.5 out of 10. I would probably give him an 8 out of 10 if he was just a hair shorter. I mean, this figure is nice. I like pretty much everything about this guy. This is D. Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this review. If you like the review, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the review, add it in the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D. Hunter. Keep an eye out for the rest of my McFarlane DC Multiverse reviews, and I'll talk to you real soon.